Me up.
And got the show notes and the YouTube stream that's embedded there in the show notes should
Yeah, and
kick in.
ladies and gentlemen, 10 stars to the Yankee was covering live from Detroit
Detroit
City.
Rock City. Detroit Rock City. I was listening to that on the way back.
Motor City Madness has reached the countryside, dog, and you were down in it, getting buzzed by helicopters and stuff, eh? Fucking hey.
And
I'll tell you what.
yeah, we are live on YouTube now. So
Oh, I see us. Yep, I sort of
and
see
D
us.
Live and Float and Twitter Live.
Okay.
And I'm posting the show notes for the show, February 13th. And we'll have updates on the convoy. And before we do that, I've got some tech news.
Yeah, and then we've got, especially for the Canadians, because we don't get to see some of the commercials, so we're going to broadcast some of the commercials that are going to be on today's Super Bowl. Happy Super Bowl Sunday, by the way. So, what are our tech overlords doing there, Yankee? What do you got on those puppies?
Well, I've got news from Facebook. They've lost over 200 billion recently. So we're going to go over that.
That's a chunk of change.
We're going to go over how the UK is ratcheting up regulation on big tech, Facebook.
Right on.
Obviously, European Union's been doing that for a long time. We're going to go on over that with Apple and Google. What else? I mean, that's the basics of it.
Yep. Well, that's a lot. So what's going on? Facebook's lost how much? Meta?
Around 200 billion.
Well, I can't even imagine.
Got a Bloomberg, 251 billion.
And
Apple,
$250 billion.
Apple had the record before that at around 180 billion.
Ouch.
And what's interesting is that now Apple is hurting Facebook big time with the iOS 14 and onward with their privacy measures.
Right.
But let me get the media viewer up. See what happens here. There's the show notes.
Way to go, Yankee. This guy was on the road all last night. He's here for you today.
So we're going to start out with UK striking out on its own and regulating big tech. Britain throws down gauntlet to EU and big tech crackdown from blocking the Facebook Giphy merger. Giphy's an animated GIF site. To joining up its digital regulators, UK is striking out on its own. This is from Politico.eu.
Oh.
And when it comes to taking on big tech, Brexit Britain is showing Brussels up. The EU has long cast itself as the world's toughest digital policeman, setting the global standard on everything from privacy to online content moderation and slapping hefty fines on tech platforms that flout its trust-busting rules, but it has competition from an ex-EU member across the channel. In ordering Facebook to sell GIF platform Giphy on Tuesday, Britain's competition watchdog did what no EU trustbuster has done before, and that is block an acquisition of a big tech firm. In terms of regulatory enforcement, it's far more of a headache for Facebook than even the most headline-grabbing of fines. The UK Competition and Markets Authority issued the order after finding the merger would allow Facebook to consolidate its already significant market power in the social media space. In the EU, it's a different story. Apart from ongoing probe in Austria, no European competition authority said it's looking at the deal. That includes the 27-member bloc's top antitrust enforcer, the European Commission, since the buyout fails to meet its notification thresholds. And right here, moving on, the UK is renegotiating its relationship with big tech. This is actually from last year, but just wanted to give a recent overview of it. UK International Trade Secretary Liz Truss will meet executives from some of the world's largest tech firms on her visit to the U.S. this week. This was back in July of last year. The move to big tech is aimed at driving investment into post-Brexit Britain, but could also be the precursor for a closer relationship between the UK public sector and the tech giants. Truss met with U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai at the start of the 5-day trip to discuss closer cooperation on tackling threats to free and fair global trade. The U.S. is a big investor into the U.K. Net FDI from the U.S. into the U.K. in 2019 was more than double that of its nearest challenger. So UK and big tech, geopolitics matters. Geopolitics is also an important factor in the relationship between the UK and big tech. Trip is about communicating that the UK wants to be a technology leader, but also about communicating certain boundaries about how the government wants big tech to operate in the UK. They don't just want them coming in and acquiring UK companies like Google did with DeepMind and funneling all the talent and innovation back to the US. The UK wants benefits too. Pretty decent article. Check it out. It's in the show notes. But I want to move forward because there's a lot more here. I'm moving on to Facebook's Apple-induced face plant could haunt company a while. As I mentioned, Apple was the last big company to lose a lot of money, but now Facebook is with that record $250 billion. And this is from investors.com. Facebook's Apple-induced face plant could haunt company a while. Facebook has set a number of records in its 18-year existence, but the latest threshold eclipsed by parent company Meta Platforms is more scar than beauty, and that blemish, a free fall that cratered FB stock this week, will live on for a while following its quarterly earnings report that was shot across the board. FB stock on Thursday set a record when shares collapsed by 26%. In the process, its market valuation plunged more than $232 billion. The biggest one-day drop in market value for any company in history of the U.S. stock market. It took the top spot from Apple, which lost $182 billion in market value.
When was that? Do you remember?
Apple?
Yeah.
2020. September.
Oh, okay. Just curious. Go on.
Well, actually, I'm going to move on to some kind of rumors coming out of Meta, Facebook, that they may be pulling. I don't think they're going to do it, but there's rumors going about that Meta clarifies stance on pulling Facebook and WhatsApp out of Europe. I also heard it, even Instagram. Company remained quiet on what it would do if there continues to be no EU-US data transfer agreement, however. This is posted February 8th from
That's right.
ZDNet.
Yeah, that popped onto my radar too. That's pretty big market. Europe, the EU.
Meta, formerly Facebook, has clarified the comments it made in an annual report about likely pulling Facebook and Instagram from Europe if it was prevented from transferring data from the EU to the US due to lack of an international agreement. So the European Union basically, when you have apps in the EU, this data, if it's European citizens, the data, I believe, has to be housed in Europe on servers that are exist in Europe in the cloud, what have you. And Facebook wants that data back in the U.S., obviously, so they can data mine it and sell it.
Right.
The clarification was posted after the company's comments made headlines across some media outlets, with German Economy Minister Robert Habeck and French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire reportedly clapping back at Meta's threat by saying they would be okay with Facebook not having a presence in Europe.
Wow.
So we'll just have to keep an eye on this, but I don't see how that Facebook would do that. It's a pretty big market, lucrative market, but it's possible.
Huh.
And Facebook also is going to have issues on Apple. I don't think I don't have a main article on that, but basically, iOS 14 is more privacy oriented. Apps can't they can't track what other apps are doing, things along those lines.
Right.
So Zuckerberg's whole data mining operation that he does is not gonna. He can't pull that off anymore on iOS, and he's gonna lose a lot in ad revenue. Moving on, Apple, Google are the main ones here in the next section. And this article here is from CNBC. The Senate will get its best shot at regulating big tech, and Apple, Google, and Amazon are already playing defense. This is posted January 20th of this year. The Senate Judiciary Committee is set to deliberate on the American Innovation and Choice Online Act, which would target companies like Amazon. Tech industry has launched an all-out attack on the legislative effort, fearing damage it might cause. Here's everybody's favorite senator from Minnesota, favorite Democratic senator, Amy Klobuchar. And she speaks during the Senate Rules and Administration Committee hearing on oversight of the U.S. Capitol Police Force, blah, 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 on that notorious January 6th day.
Right.
One of lawmakers' best shots at passing transformative antitrust legislation on big tech will begin reach on Thursday. Senate Judiciary Committee is set to deliberate on the American Innovation and Choice Online Act, which some experts consider to have most realistic chance of becoming law out of broad slate of reforms while creating major change in the industry. The committee's schedule also lists a markup of the Open App Market Act, another bipartisan competition bill. Let me just check out this.
Yep.
Tigers.
While you're checking stuff out, I don't see me in the pop-up window. Not that it really matters, but
Oh, no, that's good. Letting me know that. I'll get you in there.
well, I mean,
I have to.
maybe somebody wants to look at me. I mean,
There you go. You are back in
Well, there
your
you
little
go.
box. I've got you back in your little box.
hey, I got the new hat. I got a new hat.
Yeah, you got all
Johnny-
dressed up.
Johnny P. Johnson, one of the greatest country singers in the world, ladies and gentlemen, he gave me this hat yesterday. There it is. And I got my football T-shirt on. All right, now what are you talking about, boy? The Meta loses money, and the Apple's cutting them off, and the European Union don't like them, and oh my gosh, this is just not good. Mark, do you think Mark is upset? Do you think he's gonna Anyway, go on. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt
So
you.
with Apple and Google, this new bipartisan bill announced Wednesday seeks to bring more competition to the App Store market, currently dominated by Apple and Google. The Open App Markets Act, led by Senators Marsha Blackburn, Tennessee, and Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, and Klobuchar of Minnesota, would shake up the business model of both companies' app stores and the structure of their mobile operating systems.
Wow.
The bill, in part, the in-app payment systems for companies that own app stores with more than 50 million users in the U.S. Under the bill, companies like Apple and Google would not be allowed to condition distribution of an app on their app stores on whether the developers use their in-app payment system. So it comes down to the in-app payment system, and both Apple and Google take a 30% cut from third-party developers. So that's the main
30%. Whoa.
main focal point in the bill. I also have a link here. I'm not going to go over it, but the state of Illinois is also going after Apple about this in-app payment system also. And quickly, in South Korea, Google and Apple's next regulatory headaches are looming across the Pacific. Google and Apple are catching heat for their App Store and payments practice in Asia Pacific. Also, less than a week after Apple said it would allow Apple's App Store developers to promote alternative payment methods to their users, South Korea is poised to end restrictions that critics say harm competition, and Australia is piling on the pressure by floating reforms for how to tackle payment systems provided by Apple and Google. So this is not just happening in the United States. It's happening also in South Korea and Australia. And kind of ripped through it, but that's it for the big tech regulation. Facebook's big losses. And I guess we'll move on to the trucker convoy. I got in just a few hours ago, so I didn't have a lot of time. Get some structure here on the convoy blockade updates, but I've got all the links in there.
Yeah, I see them all. And whatever order you want to go through, the ground news thing you got at the top there, that has to do with Rand Paul's take on. I can just read that. He says he hopes the truckers do come to America. I hope they clogged up the cities. Paul told the conservative Daily Signal the Department of Homeland Security warned law enforcement this week that trucker convoys posting could against him. Anyway, yeah, well, there's that. No, we got all kinds of stuff on the convoy. I've been trying to cover it pretty extensively. I got the thing out of the Reuters, which is, I think, the third link you have in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll load that up.
Yeah, it's a reader. I'm going to read it.
It's a reader.
It's a reader here. Okay. Windsor, Ontario, February 13th, which is today. I waited until this morning to get most of this stuff.
Because that's dedication, I'll tell you.
Well, it's the thing is that everything keeps changing. Okay, here's the update from Windsor. And you were really close to Windsor yesterday. You were right across the river.
Yeah, and I was very cold also at the same time.
Okay, well, here we go from Reuters. Reuters Thompson. Canadian police cleared protesters and vehicles that had blocked a virtual trade route on the border with the United States, making some arrests, but the bridge has not yet opened to traffic on Sunday. This was this morning. Enforcement actions continued at the demonstration area with arrests being made, vehicles being towed. Police continue to avoid the area, Windsor police said in Twitter post early Sunday, without saying how many had been arrested. Police stepped up to the presence with more than 50 vehicles, including cruisers, buses, and an armored car on Sunday, as the number of protesters dropped to about 45 from roughly 100 on Saturday. Windsor police tweeted, quote, "There will be zero tolerance for illegal activity." Yeah, good luck. The bridge carries about $360 million worth of goods every two-way cargoes, 25% of all the value, U.S. and Canada trade. And we did research yesterday, and it is privately owned by some character. It's one of the few privately owned bridges. And you were saying, Yankee, that it needs some sprucing up or something.
Yeah, there are some like support beams on the U.S. side, and it may also be some on the Canadian side. I couldn't get a good shot, but and then like right under the bridge, there is some type of construction set up there, but the bridge definitely is needs to be better maintained.
Wow.
And in Canada, on the Windsor Canadian side, they've been upset for years because it's privately owned on the U.S. side, and they were supposed to do connectors. I think 75 and some of the other major highway connectors are supposed to have been, updating the bridge, maintaining it, and that's not happening. And Canada is looking at possibly building another bridge down further down the river.
That would be interesting. Yeah, well, I was looking at the map when you were in that area looking for stuff, and it looked pretty scattered. All right, well, we got a video.
I've got. I'm just going to do I haven't had time to really. I'm not going to do the audio off there, but this is what I got from yesterday.
Oh, that'll be fun. And that's the bridge, is it? Is that the bridge in question?
That is the bridge, yep.
Cool. Streaming live yesterday, Variant News on the streets. We're going to be doing a lot of that.
So there was a Fox affiliate guy his name was Dave from Chicago, and he was just hanging out in his van the whole time. Had set up a camera, really high-end camera, taking a shot, continuous shot of the bridge, but he said he had a drone.
Oh, yeah.
and it was around 5 o'clock by then, around there, 5:15, and I'm like, well,
Right.
get that thing up in the air because it's gonna get dark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he didn't launch it. If I had a drone, I would have had that up and
He's just
launched.
waiting to see if something happened that was like action packed.
There was this woman. There was these people playing in the park. It was so bizarre. You can see the woman running.
Yeah.
She's running back and forth a lot of the time here in the footage.
Oh, I see her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
But
Detroit
all right,
City.
is there? So there's a video in the links
Yeah,
here.
CNN. You can start it, about a minute and play it for a minute or so. It's basically Americans, truck drivers, COVID, Sunday, something or other. Yeah, it has to do, I think,
Excuse me, I'm looking
United
for
States
a
and Canada and all this.
Well, I've got an ad here.
No, it figures. Yeah, it's
Really great ad.
situation is so changing by the minute, pretty
Well, there's
much.
that guy Viva Frey. He's in the Ottawa area. He's a lawyer.
Right.
Am I starting from a minute? But he's had a live stream I saw earlier today.
Yeah, somewhere in a minute. Yeah, you start at the top. I don't really care.
It's 2 minutes. We might as well just. They
Let's
already
play
got
it.
somebody.
Since that order went into effect,
Play
there's
it.
about 50 vehicles at this point. But, I spoke to some of the folks here. If we could just show you what's happening here at the foot of the Ambassador Bridge. There is a handful of people there. They are staying warm. Look, they feel that they are on the right side of history, like both sides feel over this stuff. They want all those coronavirus restrictions to go, including that vaccine mandate. Standing up to tyranny. The premier of the province here, so the state's governor basically, Doug Ford, says there is now an emergency order as well at the state level or at the provincial level, and it is time for these protesters to go.
Your right to make a political statement does not outweigh the rights of 1 million people in Ottawa to live peacefully.
Didn't Doug Ford smoke crack?
No, that was his brother,
Oh, okay.
Rob.
All right. So he looks a lot like his brother.
Oh, I know. And
Okay.
he came. It's obviously the Ford Foundation family dynasty thing. But no, that guy. He actually he expired a few years ago, but he was a real character. No, but they're brothers. And he got in a lot of trouble because he didn't do anything for like almost a week. Like he just disappeared. But now he's doing stuff because Mama Bear United States said, "You guys got to get your act together." Okay, I don't know. You can play more of this.
Yeah, well, let's hear
Harassment
from his brother.
and chaos in their own homes. So let me be as clear as I can. There will be consequences for these actions, and they will be severe.
Wow.
And they are talking about very severe reaction and fines and jail time.
Yeah, they've been talking about that both in Ottawa and at these other blockade sites. And on the U.S. side, it was not obviously much more presence over here, and I believe I'm not sure. I mean, there were no trucks I could see on the bridge anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's shut down apparently.
And yeah, but there was definitely more of a presence on the Canadian side, the Ontario side. There was I got a little bit of the footage of it, but people were starting to leave. It was starting to get dark. There was a few people, about 5 cars.
Yeah.
One family had 2 kids, and they were running around with American flag on the U.S. side, under the bridge, right under the bridge,
Right.
hanging out, and they had like freedom.
Yeah. There's a few things that there's people supporting the the Freedom Convoy, as it's called. Mainly financially, half the money that's been raised by the Canadian movement, if you call it that, has come from the United States. If you want to go back to camera view, I'm just going to read out of a couple of articles. They're not that exciting. I mean, they're exciting, but they're not that exciting to look at.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, this is out of the Calgary CTV News. And basically, they didn't have a lot of video, but this is updated, I believe, yesterday. Officials with the Canadian Border Services Agency says it is temporarily unable to provide services at the Coots, Alberta crossing due to the ongoing protest taking place nearby. The agency made the statement on Saturday afternoon, referring commercial traffic to a number of other crossings for the time being. Those crossings, I know all of them. Not the one, North Portal, Saskatchewan, Ridgeway, Saskatchewan, Rooseville, BC, which is 380 kilometers from that location, or Kingsgate, all the way over around 300 miles away. Washington Post, I managed to get this out of them. Sometimes they don't let you read their stuff, but they did today. Thank you, Washington Post. Okay, and this is the Ottawa situation. In Ottawa, the ranks of protesters swelled to what police said was 4,000 demonstrators. The city has seen in the past weekends loud music played as people milled about downtown, where anti-vaccine demonstrations have been encamped since late January. Ottawa police said in a joint command said a joint command center had now been set up together with the Ontario Provincial Police and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Protesters on Saturday tore down a fence that authorities had put around the capital's National War Memorial 2 weeks ago after demonstrators urinated on it. Some later chanted Liberté, which is French for freedom. Two border crossings, Coots, Alberta, and Emerson, Manitoba, have remained shut down. Police fired tear gas against a handful of people who demonstrated on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, France, in defiance of a police order. An Associated Press photographer was hit in the head with a gas canister as police struggled to control the crowd. In the Netherlands, aka Holland, meanwhile, dozens of trucks and other vehicles, ranging from tractors to a car towing a camper, arrived in The Hague, which is the capital, blocking an entrance to the historic parliamentary complex. Protesters on foot joined them, carrying a banner emblazoned with "Love and Freedom, No Dictatorship" in Dutch. And finally, around the world, we have inspired all kinds of countries here. Earlier this week in New Zealand, protesters rolled up to the Parliament grounds in a convoy of cars and trucks and set up camp. Police have taken a hands-off approach after initial attempts to remove them resulted in physical confrontation. So way to go, Canada. I mean, I didn't expect such a Canadian story to come bouncing out of here. To be honest with you. There is a video from Emerson if you want to play it. CBC player 943.
Hold on a sec. I'm checking a look at the footage from yesterday.
All right, huh?
Blocking a lot of this. That's weird. I wanted to see if I can get. Let me see. I think this is it. When I got to, I wasn't actually very close to the Ambassador Bridge. I got into the Windsor, Detroit Windsor Tunnel first.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I had some footage from there, and I was shooed away pretty quickly, and I want to see if I can get that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Loaded up, because I didn't be able to check out the actual video.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Get video on this. I'm going to move over to this over here. So this is the tunnel, and this was it was starting to get backed up when I first got down here to this area. It was backed up a little ways. It was coming all the way around this whole area that hooks around. That was all backed up for a ways, but not out. There's a main street out where you can't see to the right, but really close to the Ambassador Bridge. Let me see if I can find it or where the security guard comes. They're all over the place. A lot of them are coming up to the cars, especially this U-Haul, talking to them. Let me let this play for a little bit. Moving through here slowly.
Are they border security people or?
Yeah, you can see this guy right here. There's almost in the center to the right. There's a cop or security guy talking to that guy in the U-Haul truck.
Right.
So,
interesting.
Doesn't look like the blockade, or maybe the blockade is over, or it's occurring somewhere else in the chain here. You've got police,
crazy,
security,
just crazy. The whole situation's crazy.
You got an officer. It looks like
there's all kinds of underlying reasons for this.
Talking to that guy in the U-Haul truck. There's an officer looking at me, streaming this. There. You gotta keep going. I gotta hear that one more time. And he's telling me, the security guy's telling me to move. So I figured, you gotta keep going.
Classic.
He's right there to the left. He's telling me, right here. And they have like a little office underneath this parking garage where they hang out. And then I got some footage later up above really high, and they didn't see me. But yeah, they did not. They shot me down rather quickly.
Really?
Yeah, because I was filming for 45 seconds.
Wow.
And that's all it took before.
No kidding, huh? Before you got noticed.
Before I was told to get the hell out of Dodge.
Jesus.
Do you want to do more articles? You want to go back to the
we go to the video since you're already in video mode.
Which one we want to do?
Well, I got something out of Emerson, Manitoba, which is another crossing that's closed. That's kind of, it's hard to keep up with it, but mainly it's Coots, Emerson, and the Windsor-Detroit Bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, as it's called. Well, anyway. It's 943 CBC player.
CBC 943.
I got three things from CBC. Thank you.
Where do you want me to start this?
I don't know. Start at about a minute. Let it play to the end. So I think it's 2:13.
And for more on this, we are joined now. But I'm wondering whether or not you've seen any immediate economic impact already occur from the blockade.
I don't have any reports on that. I just know that any day a transport company or even like an owner operator of a truck isn't moving, I know it's money for them. So I don't have any numbers on that per se, but I know that it's definitely costing them some money.
You know, I wanted to ask you, we were just listening to a reporter who said essentially the premier was asked about it, who said, well, you should talk to the RCMP and the federal government. And we know that also we've heard from the other side that, you know, this is a provincial jurisdiction. What do you make of all of that as your community is dealing with this dire situation?
Well, I think I'd like to see definitely some dialogue with the protesters to try to find some common ground, possibly to get at least a lane open or something like. I think we all know that this isn't sustainable to continue. So there has to be some dialogue, and I think probably everyone needs to come together to come to a solution for this. So I know it started with the federal mandates, and I know that it's kind of grown into more. So I think everyone needs to get together and discuss this and try to, again, find some common ground. to move this, to get this blockades moved.
I mean, we certainly heard from the province that there are plans now to end the proof of vaccine program and the masking mandates as well in the province of Manitoba, and that would be within the month of March. So the question is, do you think that that might change the situation in your community there? And
Aren't they also lifting it in Alberta? Let's see if I can find any information
All
on
right.
that.
if it goes on.
Well, the COVID restrictions are getting lifted. Quebec got rid of everything. Alberta, part of the problem is that the restrictions were all getting lifted, and it's almost like the protesters, in a way, they could delay it because they're going to take all the credit. But it was going to happen anyway. If you want to move on, now the guy was talking about you got to talk to this police or that police and the other police, and goes to a very important topic in Canada, that the coordination between the police forces, like in in Ontario, there you've got the city police, say Windsor Police, and then you got the Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP, and then you got the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and they don't really communicate that much. And then also they got different jurisdictions. It's like all jurisdictioned up. So one side says, well, it's not our jurisdiction. The other side says it's not their jurisdiction. But this one is 1732. If you want to play the whole thing, I think it's short.
It's 6 minutes, six and a half minutes.
See that
Oh, Christ, that's too long. Okay, well, anyway, I just told you what's going on with that one. And then finally, we've got a video, the 988. You can just play that for a couple of minutes. And it's just the update on the Ottawa situation. So...
Actually, thank you for waiting for us as we were speaking there from Ellen. Talk to us about what's happening there right now, because certainly what is happening in Ottawa is markedly different from what we're seeing in Windsor, Ontario.
This is a completely different atmosphere, especially in terms of police presence. Walking around this morning, we saw very few Ottawa police officers. We know that the public safety minister has said that RCMP resources were diverted to Windsor. So that has really been the priority this weekend. It's quite a party-like atmosphere here, and a lot of families we've seen this morning with very young children, and that's been difficult for the police to manage because they say that this could potentially be a volatile situation. They've warned people to take their children home, that they've been in contact with Children's Aid over those staying in vehicles and trucks here. But we are still seeing a lot of families here who say that they feel safe, and as well that they're fighting for their children over these vaccine mandates, and that's why they're here. They're not going anywhere. Some of the other scenes we saw this morning, people soaking in a blow-up hot tub just outside of Parliament Hill. You can see beside us tents that have been erected right on Wellington Street. This was last night. They brought this in. Police tried to push these tents back and not allow them to, but it was a victory for the protesters. Inside there are donations and treats for kids that are being gathered in there. They've got some generators, things like that. You can kind of get a sense of the scene here, and just the amount of people coming in from all over. Many from Quebec. We spoke to some as far as southern Ontario who drove 8 hours to be here. A lot of individuals who say they lost their jobs because they had to be vaccinated, including those that worked at auto part factories. Some are parents that come up and were quite upset and angry, saying, look, I can't take my kids to school, to swimming classes or to hockey practice because of the vaccine mandate. So that gives you a bit of a sense of the crowd that's showing up here today just for the weekend that haven't been here during the week.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering about the effect the police action in Windsor has had on people there. Are people talking about it? Has that made them emboldened or think twice about taking part today?
Everyone we've spoken to about the police presence and some of the hefty fines police have warned of, the new injunction saying that tickets could be up to $100,000 or a year in jail for blocking traffic or bridges, that is not deterring them. We've had individuals say that that will not stop them in any way. It doesn't scare them. And many here do seem emboldened, and they feel that those types of tickets or arrests are unconstitutional. So it's not something that anyone here is saying is going to make them go home. And it's certainly a challenge that police are facing. We've heard a lot of warnings from them here in Ottawa, but not a lot of police stepping in and taking action. They were trying to, for example, seize fuel earlier on in the demonstration, and that stopped. We see people going right by police with, wagons full of fuel. So it's really been a challenge for the police here, who say that they're outnumbered, that they need more resources. They have called on the federal government for help. The Prime Minister said that, and the federal government has said that more RCMP are going to be here to help with that, but have not revealed how many and the specific numbers. And we know a lot of that is likely tied up right now in Windsor. The Prime Minister also yesterday said that he thought that Ottawa had the resources, had not exhausted the resources they had to deal with this. A comment that upset City Council here, who said that's unfair, that they do need additional resources and that they cannot handle this on their own.
All right.
Yeah. Crazy, yeah.
And then we got there's a few more links here from the Guardian.
Yeah, if you
we got.
why don't you put me back in the big screen, eh? I'm just going to read out of this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. This is out of the Guardian, the Guardian is generally a pretty good source of information. Some people say it's tilted to the left too much, but whatever. But out of this article, I gleaned this, and this is where things have kind of gone off the rails. It says the Canadian protests movement, the crowd included advocates for the extremist QAnon conspiracy theory. In the Ottawa protest first day, QAnon self-proclaimed Queen of Canada, Roanna Diablo, burned a Canadian flag outside Parliament. She has previously called for the extermination of parents who vaccinated their children. And this guy wrote an op-ed in the Globe and Mail, and he said included a motley array of Western separatists, anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, anti-Semitic, Islamophobes, and other extremists. And it wasn't any surprise to anybody who paid attention. He claimed several of the Convoy organization of history and white nationalist and racist activism. And that is why the whole funding thing has gone down. I'll just kind of sum that up from first-hand research. And GoFundMe had raised $10 million, of which they released $1 million of it. The other $9 million, they're returning to the donors because they say that the funds were, but what was happening out of the protest was against their mandate of not having extremist type of things. So the truckers went down south and found this Christian site says, "Go send me," or something like that. And now the courts in Canada are blocking that. And there is one other video. I suppose, we got time to play it, and then that'll be a good wrap.
Well, I heard they're now looking at Bitcoin, possibly.
The Bitcoin thing is happening, dude. They raised a whole bunch of money, and that's what this video might be about, actually. It's the last video in the bunch here from CBC, I think.
TD Bank to hand Convoy funds to court. Organizers turns to cryptocurrency. Is it that one?
Yeah. I'll play that one. That's the thing right now. That's really current. Last few days.
Millions in donations to the convoy occupying Ottawa have been frozen by court order, but convoy organizers say they are fighting back.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, one strategy is to start raising money through a way in which governments have less control.
The principal philosophy of what Bitcoin is freedom.
This video was broadcast on Facebook by supporters of the convoy blockading Ottawa, where protest leaders outline a strategy for fundraising after crowdfunding platform GoFundMe shut them down, refunding millions in donations.
For everybody who had your voice stolen by GoFundMe, you should feel solace that there is now alternatives.
One alternative American website, Give Send Go, hit Thursday with a court order freezing more than $8 million. Authorities saying in court it furthered a criminal act, mischief on the streets of Ottawa. The new plan, cryptocurrency. The group describes crowdfunding effort number 3 in a digital currency called Satoshis, now at the equivalent of $913,000 US.
The ongoing steps that they are taking to freeze accounts and all these other things will just drive more and more people to Bitcoin in a way that has never happened in our current time.
According to documents filed in an
much you
Ontario
wanna
court,
play
the
this
Ottawa
thing.
police were watching that
I had them
video
go
too.
to about a minute and 2 or something like that. But that's the situation. And I don't know. It's like I say, it's really interesting. It's really happening.
Well, Trudeau still has not. There's a guy, I forget his name, but I've seen it on YouTube. He's one of, I guess, one of the leaders there on the ground in Ottawa for the truckers. And he says he has a team of lawyers in Ottawa, ready to deal with the legal issues, but nobody on the ground in Ottawa, no politicians or no one will talk to him.
Well,
and he
what
keeps
it
trying
is
to reach out.
Well,
it's getting nowhere.
Part of the problem is that it's somewhat hard to say who's in charge of this convoy, like I alluded to the different people. And I think what the Liberal government and the government in general, they don't want to add credence to the situation. And then as far as bringing in the Canadian military, getting them involved, that would be the new version of the War Measures Act, and that has not been used since the FLQ crisis in the 70s when Justin's
father
declared it, and Piata. So I don't know how it's going to play out, to be honest with you, but that should pretty much do it for that. We'll probably have to cover it a bit more next week, but if you want to be fascinated by something that's happening, this is very Canadian. Very, very Canadian.
Oh, no doubt. All right, I got 2 more stories. Let me switch over here. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do the media viewers. This is a little bit old, but from the independent.co.uk, Ukraine crisis, Macron.
Yep.
From France, leader of France, says Putin has promised no further escalation in crisis. So this is 5 days ago. There's Macron with Vladimir Zelensky.
Mm-hmm.
Meets Emmanuel Macron in Kiev. French President Emmanuel Macron was in Kiev on Tuesday in the latest round of diplomatic talks aimed at avoiding war in Ukraine, and said Russia's President Vladimir Putin had told him 24 hours earlier that Moscow would not further escalate the Ukraine crisis.
Right.
I don't know, paywall here, but at least Macron has gotten himself on the world stage here. I think he really wanted to get himself on the world stage. So, but
all the world's a stage. Yeah, right.
It's just Putin's just basically been saying the same thing over and over again. He's not going to invade. Not going to invade.
Oh, he's buying time.
And I did a stream before I left for Michigan on the U.S. Fed testing digital transactions. Just going to go over real quick a Forbes.com article. So the U.S. federal government designs a digital dollar that handles 1.7 million transactions per second. As the race against China's development of its central bank digital currency, CBDC, known as the digital yuan, continues, the U.S. Federal Reserve accomplished a feat in testing a design for a U.S. digital dollar that, in one of two tests, managed to handle 1.7 million transactions per second. They were setting a bar of about 100,000, I believe, at first, transactions per second, but they went well beyond that. Report was released last Thursday, provided the initial findings of research conducted as a collaboration between the Boston Fed and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Dubbed Project Hamilton, the report describes a theoretical high-performance and resilient transaction processor for a CBDC that was developed using open-source research software called OpenCBDC. Now, this was not a blockchain-like setup. They didn't want the overhead of that so that they could get the most amount of transactions possible. They didn't want any overhead. So it doesn't have, say, what the Bitcoin blockchain history has, where it has, all Bitcoin transactions are in the Bitcoin blockchain, encrypted. And also, it's not in this article, but did some videos and some further research. There are some developers who have worked on Bitcoin that are also working on this Project Hamilton proposal here. And it sounds like they've been working on this for quite some time. And you've got developers both on Bitcoin and on this project, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's also a GitHub. Here it is.
Oh boy!
If you want the source code, it looks like it's C++, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But there it is. That's the source code for the OpenCBDC. So if you want to start your own country and create your own central bank digital currency, check out this GitHub repo.
I'm in.
And
up by an island or
you
something.
you can be halfway there, or maybe all the way there almost.
Yeah, well, I'm halfway to some island, I can tell you that.
So that's it for the main stories. I've got a bunch of bizarro kind of
we dug up a bunch of
here.
stuff.
A lot of it Super Bowl related ads. That the Canuck sent for the show notes.
I went on a blitz this morning looking for things that you might be interested in. I think you better skip the Crybaby Convoy guy, because even though it's YouTube, we'll probably get flagged massively. But it's this folky guy, and he's supposed to be famous, but I never heard of him, saying something about the convoy. But if we want to start with the ice fishing, because this is really what Canadians like to do. They don't.
I'm not.
Very few.
There it is.
Yeah, it's a CBC player 955. Then we can move on to the Super Bowl things. But this is a really nice shack these guys built, man. I tell you what, check it out. For ice fishing.
Growing up with my brothers, we used to go fishing a lot.
Oh, there's a politician, I believe in the United States, that believes that ice fishing will lead the shanties. They don't look like this. This looks really nice, but the shanties that they build for ice fishing would lead to prostitution.
What?
Yeah, I'll find the article. I'll let this play. I'll find the article.
And my grandfather had built an ice fishing shed, and we used to push it out on the ice and go out, and it was something that I did with my brothers.
Those crazy, wacky
just
politicians.
A lot of really great childhood memories. I just love the idea of it, and I think I love the sort of just seasonality of it. They just all of a sudden, this little community popped up on the ice, was complete with houses, right? It looked like a tiny little community, and people would be going out there, spending time out there, and then all of a sudden come spring break up and ice melt, and it was gone. All these little towns or little kingdoms were disappeared, but it was a kind of a magical time, like magical memories from childhood. on one big wall,
Yeah, I
there's
think
a
I had that
seal
pegged
that
at
looks
about
out
2
at the
minutes.
viewer, and on the other wall, there's a polar bear that's diving
ice
down.
fishing.
All 4 walls are joined
Well, look at
together,
put it
kind of
together.
with these smooth lines that could be waves or water or fish, or it could even represent light coming
Guy
down
works
through the
fast,
water
huh?
column. And that was just thinking about the weather changes that we have, climate changes and polar bears and how there's less ice and, you know, and the sort of cycle of their food. And then the roof panels, they're all made of just sort of a horizon line of Tablelands Mountains and then Northern Lights above them. My dream was to be...
That's cool.
Yeah, what do you
Definitely
think,
interesting.
man?
Yeah, that's
like
very interesting.
Pretty artsy, you know.
So I've got the article here that was mentioned earlier.
Oh, cool.
And the Ohio mayor goes viral for suggesting ice fishing could lead to prostitution.
Oh man.
Oh, let me turn off ad block, and I'll refresh.
Boy, we got some bizarro Super Bowl friggin' bizarro, man.
Mayor, I don't know. Is that him, Mayor Schubert? Let's do the comment. Let's see if the
Ohio mayor goes viral for
Here we
suggesting
go.
ice fishing could lead to prostitution. Watch
Oh,
here.
no.
An Ohio mayor's comment during a city council meeting, suggesting that legalizing ice fishing could lead to prostitution, is drawing unwanted attention, criticism and a few jokes. As seen in the video of the interaction, Hudson City Council members on February 8 discussed potential liability concerns if ice fishing were to be allowed at Hudson Springs parks.
All right, so this is the video.
Thank you. I have no problem if that's the way they want to go of getting educational information out.
A couple of additional data points here for council to consider. One, the Hudson Fire Department does have the capability to do cold water, ice rescues. They've done the training in the past. Whether that certification is current, you'd have to ask Chief Farnes. I would say before you make any decisions, I would definitely get Chief Farnes to weigh in on this because, as Councilwoman Kowalski mentioned, it is the fire and EMS folks and perhaps the police department that all have to engage on a moment's notice should there be an incident. Additionally, if you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you don't allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem. Prostitution. Now you've got the police chief and the police department involved.
That is surreal.
Just data points to consider.
Just points to consider. Ice shanties will result in ice shanty prostitution.
It's good that this guy is a moral compass for his region, because otherwise who knows what kind of tomfoolery is going to happen out there in sub-zero temperatures and fishing for ice. Ice fishing. Oh man.
I'm gonna get it in the show notes real quick. Just,
yeah, you better. This is a classic, folks.
For
by the way,
posterity.
for those of you that don't know, the show notes, which can be found at variant-news.com, if you don't get the link here, they got all the links we use. So you can peruse once again or do your own research or share them with your mother-in-law. It doesn't really matter. They're there. It's a fact.
And we've got Hippie605 in the chat saying hello.
Hey, baby. Happy
How
Super
you
Bowl,
doing,
hippie.
Hippie? Hope you're doing all right.
Doing all right.
Just going over how ice house
shanties.
shanties lead to prostitution
Bet
in
you
Ohio.
didn't know that.
So,
hippie. I've been called hippie before. Usually people put an expletive before it.
and I don't know where you found this, but this is from NBC Sports.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. It's just a reedy thingy-dealy. And this is, you probably don't remember this. December 19th, 1972? What were you doing on December 19th?
Thanks for the host, Hippie.
In December 19th, 1972, we're talking about the President of the United States. There's a recording of one Richard Nixon. Can you imagine that? Richard Nixon and Attorney General Richard G. Canuck. I should know how to pronounce it. Anyway, it has been posted online by Associated Press, and it shows that Nixon, who just won re-election in a landslide, considered getting football games on TV to be a major policy priority. At the time of the conversation, the Washington Redskins were just days away from hosting a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers, and Nixon told his attorney general he was going to be furious if people in Washington, D.C. couldn't watch the game. And the deal was that they wouldn't stream the game locally if it wasn't a sellout or something. I don't know what the deal with that was. And then, of course, we got the Super Bowl ads and NBC Universal, which is responsible for broadcasting today's Super Bowl, which is in the background behind me, the pregame, in case you're wondering why I have it on. And check it out. They sold out, baby. They sold all their inventory 10 days before, the February 13th, which is today. 10 days ago, it said today, securing as much as $7 million for a 30-second spot. Oh, okay. And that's up from $6.5 million. And the game will feature over 30 new advertisements, about 40% of all advertisers in 12 different categories, the strongest being automotive technology, and they include such people as Nissan and Booking.com and Anheuser-Busch and Frito-Lay and Sam's Club, Taco Bell, BMW, Uber Eats, Gillette, Wallbox, which I have no idea what that is. And so we've got some of the ads. You can find all of the ads at the link that is in the show notes from
I have the one here. It looks like it has them all here listed.
Yeah, but I did translate them into actual YouTube links. And the first one's kind of cute. You might recognize these guys, Dr. Evil, or whatever his name was. And he's going to save the planet and destroy it and have something to do with cars or something. I don't know.
You want to do the whole thing?
Oh, yeah, it's short. These are all really short because they're ads. 30 seconds or a minute at the most.
Wow. That was cryptic.
It just doesn't.
Hey, Martha, pass me
Here we
that
go.
big Easy Reach lighter.
So, how far do you think
Now, be
GM's
careful.
TVs can
All right, the next.
This
180 miles.
is you want to do? Are we doing a Snoop?
300 miles?
Yeah, now this is the odd couple, aren't don't you think?
They're smoking a blunt, right?
It's Snoop Doggy and Martha Stewart.
Pass the blunt?
I don't think so, but they might. Probably after, before they shot or after, they were definitely blunting it. All right.
Hey, Martha, pass me that big Easy Reach lighter in that bowl.
bowl of strawberries.
Thanks. This is perfect for hard-to-reach places.
And it helps keep your fingers away from the flame.
Whoa, do I smell?
That's right. Fondue time.
Big Easy Reach, the ultimate lighter. Perfect for candles, grills,
and so much more. Hey, Martha, pass me that.
Yeah, I know.
Hellman's wants to tackle food waste. So now
Gerard Mayo.
I bet you they made a lot of money. You better
this
skip
is really bad. This is really bad. So Gerard Mayo does a Hellman's mayonnaise ad.
Yeah, and skip the beer ad because it's all music and we'll get spanked. But the Mayo one is definitely good.
Well, this has music.
Hellman's wants to tackle food waste. So naturally, they hired this legend.
Listen, just
don't toss that. You can make grilled cheese with
they
that
should be
bread.
paying us.
Not on my watch.
Yes.
You can make potato salad.
Grandma! Don't throw away that spinach!
Make a frittata.
Hold the mayo.
Whoa. Mom's already tackling food waste, Mayo. What's a big guy?
Sorry, man. Had to.
I get it. I'm very hittable.
Make taste, not waste, baby.
I can't believe that's the best one. I
think that's gonna win. That's gonna win the Super Bowl of ads. I think when the public decides.
Hey, babe.
I got one more on Amazon. I guess we can play that.
The Mind Reader.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do
Hey, babe,
this.
check this out.
It's weird. It's kind of surreal.
Alexa, it's game day.
Streaming football on Prime Video. Closing blinds. Chilling
don't like
rosé.
Rosé?
Well, it's an afternoon game.
It's like she can read your mind. Your mind. I love that we get to sleep in.
Ordering fresh mint mouthwash. Extra strength.
I was thinking I should get a spray tan, because that's on Wednesday.
Activating blender.
Funeral's on Monday.
What have to go, Papa? Can't you see that treasure all along? It was here.
Love the eye patch. When does the show open?
March 8th.
Setting reminder to fake your own death on March 8th.
What the?
When you have to do those love scenes with hot guys, is that fun or is that like the worst?
It's the worst.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Scarlett, this bread is delicious. Did you make it?
Yes, it's from my Gammy's recipe.
Announcement. Gammy is short for she bought it at Whole Foods. Announcement. Colin left the oysters in the car for 5 hours.
It's probably better Alexa can't read your mind.
Bad idea.
Watch the game. Hey, babe.
I've seen the really short version of this. It's just that very first scene. It's only like 20 seconds.
And that was like a minute and a half or something.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, at $7 million a minute, then they paid over $10 million to.
Oh, this is the Convoy.
Convoy. Yeah, well.
We built it through it. It's 5:09 p.m.
Let's go back to camera view, and that's really cool. It's 10 minutes after the hour. We want to thank you all for hanging in for the last hour and 10 minutes. A Canuck and Yankee show broadcast from Canada and the United States, an international endeavor.
So won't this the Super Bowl be probably the most betted on Super Bowl in history?
I have no idea.
Because now there's all these apps for betting on football, NFL, the whole way to Michigan and back. That's all I heard were advertisements now.
For betting?
In New York, yeah, for betting, and then there's they always end it with there's like a New York helpline if you have gambling addiction.
Oh, great! I'll ask Alexa.
So
Alexa,
I think the Super Bowl's it's going to be
what's the point spread?
Biggest amount of
do you know
bets placed ever probably. We're gonna find out. All right,
let's check it out. We're covering the Super Bowl live. We are streaming live from the Dominion of Canada and the nation of the United States of America. In secret locations, of course, strategically placed.
Point spread, line spread, odds, line spread. -4, it says. This is from CBSSports.com.
Yeah, I would say that would mean that Rams are favored by 4 points. A point spread of -4 for Cincinnati.
Wait, so what does that mean? So the Rams are expected to win by 4?
Well, yeah,
Or
that's
less?
the point spread. It's kind of like the handicap that people have when they golf. Some guy's got a handicap of 4, 5 strokes, which means he can still theoretically win, even though he was 4 strokes down or something. It's a gambling thing. So I mean, you could bet the line, but if you want to make more money, you could bet. Say you did bet for Cincinnati, and they won, because you can bet on the point spread too. You can say Cincinnati by 7, or you can say the Rams by 14. There's all different kinds of formulae.
It says Bengals versus Rams spread Los Angeles -4. Bengals versus Rams over under 48.5 points.
I have no idea.
48.5 points combined, both teams.
Oh man, I tell you what.
Bengals
do the
versus
math.
Rams money line. Los Angeles -185. Cincinnati +160. LAR under is 27-10. 1 in the Rams' last 38 games as favorites. Cincinnati Bengals are 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 games.
Well, that's more information than I need. Well, I hope everybody has a great Super Bowl. I got some people coming over. We got chili, hot dogs, nachos, coleslaw, and all the rest of it.
And beer?
Oh, fuck. I mean, gee, yeah. I can't watch football and not drink beer. That's against the law of physics. So anybody, drop in. If you're in my neighborhood, come on, stop it. I got plenty of food. I got the 65-inch 4K LG TV going on, and I got $4,000 sound system, and we're gonna play music that I don't like, which is at halftime, but I'm gonna play it so friggin' loud, and it's hippity hoppity. Well, Snoopy's on the bill.
Yeah, he's gonna be smoking a blunt.
And M&Ms like melt in your hand, not in your mouth. M&Ms.
When I worked as stagehand building the sound system at Lollapalooza, and Snoop Dogg.
Really?
Snoop Dogg was getting ready to go on. Tool was there too. I watched Tool come on backstage also, but Snoop Dogg was in his dressing room for like a long time and he was burning down so hard. I got a contact high. I almost fell over.
There you go.
It was just so much ganja.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Well, have a great Super Bowl, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friends, share, follow, be nice.
Yeah, and thanks goes out to Hippie for the host. Greatly appreciated. And
awesome.
Yeah, we'll be back next week.
We will.
More stories, and I'll be doing Cryptopia tomorrow evening.
Tune in. Everything you need to know.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Look, I got the shining light here on me. Hey?
Wow, it looks cool. All right, everyone, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yep. Go Tigers.
Go Bungles. Go Bungles.
The worst team last year.
I love my woman.